Meeting to order. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Flag of our country. Commissioner Jones.
Father God, we thank you once again for entrusting us with your city. I pray that you give us wisdom and discernment to make decisions for the best of our citizens. We pray and we thank you, Lord, and I pray for every person in this room today. Thank you, Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ, we pray and we thank you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome all here this evening. First on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our October 24th meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. First reading and public hearing proposed ordinances. Ordinance 2448.
Ordinance 24-48, ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending chapter 58, solid waste, article 3, recycling, to delete the requirement for the city to provide recycling collection services and relieve amendments. Lincoln to discontinue city recycling collection, conveyance, and disposal services, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So tonight we're here to talk about the recycling project that we've been working on for the past year. This has been something we haven't taken lightly, as we've talked to you about already, and we've put in a lot of time into it. We are calling this the Six Sigma recycling project because we took a Six Sigma approach to it, which required meeting with key stakeholders, shadowing the operation, process mapping, deep dive analysis, and benchmarking against other jurisdictions who have also followed suit in this. So this presentation is just going to go over what we learned in that. So the current state, as all residents know, is that we do curbside pickup once a week for recycling. We do use temporary labor for this, which most people don't know, and that is a big cost to the operation. And it also requires a lot of our city employees to put in significant amounts of overtime to be able to cover the current demand. Also, a big factor in recycling is that China stopped recycling, accepting our recycled materials in 2018. So in the past, we would make money, not the city, but in general, the recycling industry was a profitable one. Then it turned into a break even, and now we run things at a deficit. It's become a totally different market than it used to be. We pay 3 times as much in tipping fees for dropping off recycling as we do for garbage disposal. So we're at $120 a ton for recycled and $43 a ton for garbage. A big factor right now that we have found is contamination in loads, which we'll go over a little bit more in the presentation. And contamination happens when people dispose of items that should not be in a recycling container, such as a greasy pizza box, plastic containers, children's toys. And because of that, a lot of the loads are ending up at the garbage facility. And the last part is there's not much of a market for certain items. So a lot of people see the triangle on the bottom of the container and they think it's automatically going to get recycled, and that is not the case. So that is another factor in recycling and the misconception to the public. One of the trends that we found in the analysis was recycling volume over time has gone down. As you all know, our city has grown rapidly. And so one would anticipate that our loads would be growing as well. As you can see, over the course of the last 5 years, we've actually seen a reduction of about 22% compared to the 2019-2020 year compared to current time. So although we've grown by 10% in population, our loads have decreased by 22%, showing that there's a little bit of apathy in the public for recycling in general. So getting to the contamination factor, which is a large part of this. You can see on the screen that there's a label that shows clearly on every recycling bin what is recyclable and what is not. This is part of our basic communication. We also have communications in all of our publications, pretty much every time we put something out, communicating to the public what to put in their containers and why, and then we have campaigns in several of our public events. So we've tried very hard to educate the public on what to do for recycling, and we're about to see the results of that. So through shadowing operation, we found numerous counts of contamination. More bins are contaminated than are not. So these are some examples. You'll see paint cans, you'll see some construction debris, see a lot of plastic. And we wanted to show that this is representative of the entire city. This is not one particular section of the city. So you'll see here's District 1, some examples. There's medicine ball, there's some toys. District 2, you'll see a blender, you'll see a juicing, you'll see some more plastic. You'll see plastic pretty much in all of them. District 3, the photos are hard to tell, but most of these have plastic in them. District 4, you'll see there's a suitcase in a bin. So this is fairly common. What we're finding in the city, unfortunately, is that the bins are being used more so as a third pickup day than they are for true recycling. So that's what started all of us looking into it. And then we thought, okay, how much are we spending on this? Because most of it isn't even ending up where we intended to go. So here you'll see the basic overview of the financial analysis. The tipping fees are what it costs in the difference of taking these items straight to the landfill versus the recycling facility. So that's true cost savings. If we were just to avoid the recycling center and go and take the blue bins to the garbage facility, we would have a savings of just over $200,000 a year. Temp labor is one of our largest at $248,000. The fleet cost, this is strictly for recycle trucks, so we obviously will always have our garbage trucks running. So this is strictly for recycle trucks, the fleet cost. Overtime has grown rapidly for our employees. They're all working 50+ hours a week. So overtime is our largest cost at over $250,000. Fuel for the recycle trucks, again, only the recycle trucks at $100,000. And then despite the fact that everyone has their cans and we're stopping growing as much, we still are constantly having to replace carts. So they get broken, and we are spending about $76,000 on that. So we're just over $1 million a year to run the recycling operation. That, as you saw from the contamination photos, is not really being run as a recycling operation due to the contamination factor. We are not alone in this. There are many cities throughout the state of Florida, throughout the country, that have followed suit on this. We've just pulled for the last roughly 4 years in Florida, the cities and counties that have stopped. So we've followed up with how things have gone for them. We all are kind of in the same boat. Everyone is seeing the same thing. It's not a Winter Garden problem. It's a nationwide problem of recycling. It's not being conducted as it was originally intended to do. We all grew up in a generation of Earth Day, reduce, reuse, recycle. And so we've all wanted to recycle, but we're just not seeing that happening throughout the nation. So our proposal today is that we eliminate the recycling program from the curbside recycling program for residents in the city. This would provide us a savings of roughly $1 million a year, which would grow because costs continue to rise for this operation. We did contact some private providers to find out if they would be interested in taking over our recycling operation to see if we could find some savings there. We had one contact us back that was not interested in taking over the recycling operation. We had one provide us a quote, and they would run roughly close to that $1 million a year that we are already spending, and then the rest of them didn't respond. We do have an option for residents who are interested in continuing recycling. There's a local facility within Winter Garden boundaries that will accept cardboard, paper, and aluminum for no charge from residents. And there are others throughout Central Florida that offer similar services, and some take other items such as plastic and glass. So this doesn't mean that residents wouldn't be able to recycle. It would just be on their own, that they would need to take it to a facility. This would also help us to minimize future rate increases because we know that they're coming. This is an operation that we've never charged the citizens for. They do pay for solid waste, they do not pay for recycling. So if we were to continue the operation, we would need to have rate increases to be able to cover the costs of the program. A benefit of this would be for our employees. As I said, they run a significant overtime, so this would give them a better work-life balance, and it would also allow us to drastically reduce the usage of temporary labor. This would also help us with our city trucks. Our fleet is very large and very costly. These are between fire trucks and solid waste trucks. Those are our largest cost vehicles, just due to the size of them and the wear and tear that they have. So we would have a reduction in trucks traveling to a recycling facility, as well as the recycling facility we take it to. As we saw with the contamination, what happens is our guys drop off the recycled material along with other jurisdictions in a pile there, and then if that pile is deemed contaminated, they take that whole pile and then they take it to the Orange County landfill. So we have trucks just driving around, adding to the carbon footprint, so that would reduce some of that as well. And then we would be able to take away 2 trucks from our fleet, so we would be able to sell 2 fleet trucks and not be able, or not have to maintain those anymore. And then finally, cardboard is what started this project in the first place. We all need cardboard, everyone's using more Amazon deliveries. And so we would still need to figure out how we're gonna handle cardboard for residents to make it a little bit easier for them and for our guys in the field. We would have cardboard set out with yard waste to make it a quicker and more efficient operation. So that's how cardboard would be handled. It would not be in the bins for garbage, because we know that takes up a lot of space, especially when people are not breaking down their boxes. So people wouldn't have to worry about their regular garbage bins being filled with cardboard, because we would have that set out with yard waste. Now, one bright side of this is a lot of people see this as just a financial opportunity for us, but we are not seeing it as that. We are seeing it as we still are dedicated to the environment, and we're seeing that what we're doing right now is not working. We say that we're recycling, but we're unfortunately not. About 7% of all waste collected by the city is recycled goods, and that out of that 7%, Orange County in 2019 said about 85% of what they receive is contaminated. So 15% is being recycled. So if you take 7% of our garbage that is recycled materials, and you take 85% out of that, that means out of everything that we're collecting, only 1% is actually being recycled. So our goal is to make this a true environmental initiative, and so we're going to be launching what's called the Zero Waste Campaign. Reduce, reuse, and recycle is in a specific order for a specific reason. To truly make an impact on the environment, you need to focus on reducing first, then reusing, and then recycle is supposed to be the last thing that you do. So we want to really educate our citizens on how to first reduce, which you'll see some examples here. Using refillable water bottles, taking your totes to the garbage or to the grocery store. Try to unsubscribe from your banks to have online banking only. So different ideas on how we can communicate, how we can truly reduce the amount of waste going to the landfill. And then the second step would be reuse. And so this is what we're seeing is what Winter Garden is going to really put our platform on, is to, if we want to make a difference, then let's go about it a different way, and one way that's really going to make an impact on our environment. So that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Okay, this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. We will close the public hearing. Very good. This has been going on for quite a while, and I guess at least my biggest issue is the fact that such a small part is getting recycled for the $1 million that we're spending, and the fact that our staff tried to get in to observe so that they can see what we could do for a higher percentage, relay message to our citizens, educate them so we could get a higher percentage, and we're denied access to be able to do that. So we all like to be environmentally friendly, but $1 million from down to 1% is pretty tough. So, any other questions?
It's not really fiscally responsible.
Yep, we need a motion.
If we were actually recycling it,
We will
I'll make a
move forward
motion.
in a heartbeat. And we will continue, as she said, to come up with a solution.
Like, it's actually actionable. So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 24-48.
For the second reading public hearing on December 12th.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion carried unanimously. 24-49.
Ordinance 24-49, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Winter Garden, Florida, amending Section 70-3 of Chapter 70 Telecommunications, Article 1, is adopted by ordinance 24-09. Regarding cash escrow requirements for water permit applicants performing communication services facilities, installations, providing for the codification, ratification, ordinance 2409, conflict severability, and effective date.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This ordinance amends Chapter 70 of the City Code regarding cash escrows. In May of 2024, the Commission approved ordinance 2409, which created the requirement for cash escrows for those communication services, installation contractors, and right-of-ways. The ordinance at that time required $250,000 cash deposit, or 10% of the total cost of construction, be deposited into an account that would be held by us and used to make repairs if they didn't make those repairs in a timely manner. After reviewing it more thoroughly and looking at things, we had several contractors calling us, commenting that it was a lot of money for some of the smaller projects that they do. So with that, we are coming back tonight with ordinance 24-49 to amend it and add a smaller cash escrow of $25,000 or a letter of credit for contractors working on projects that are less than 500 linear feet. With that, staff would recommend approval of ordinance 24-49. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission?
Have we had participation from any of the companies and their feedback on this change?
We have had a little bit of feedback on this change. They liked it. We have had participation from two very major installers that are out there right now putting fiber optics in. Both of them put up the $250,000. Both of them have hit things in the right of way. We've worked through it. They have made all repairs. We've watched all the repairs. This is rare for us to actually get that. Usually they leave it and we find it later. And that was the reason for this deposit. But I think because of that, they've been much more thorough in making sure they get their money back in place.
I think our city attorney may have had some direct communications on the providers as well.
Yeah, what Steve said is correct. We do have other companies that have generally stated the prior ordinance they disagree with. But, we've, and I think you all got an email, and I've reviewed the legal issues. I don't agree with the interpretation of the statute, and they've been yesterday, been through it. I understand there's a difference of opinion on it. But, this ordinance, the one we adopted before, was something we thought was reasonable to address the issues that we have as a city with the damages being caused to utilities in the right of way. I think there's statutory justification for this ordinance, and we're not seeing the arguments like some of the companies are about how there's any inconsistency with the communication statute and this ordinance. We think we're allowed to do this. So with that, I'm ready and prepared to recommend moving forward with this. And in fact, I would say that we already have an ordinance on the books. What this does is actually loosen, as Steve said, the requirement for the amount of cash bond for some of the projects. So we actually got this suggestion from one of the local companies that they would like to see a little less requirement for the smaller projects. So that's what initiated this ordinance.
Okay. Any other questions? This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Just go ahead and give your name and address, please.
My name,
Yes, sir.
good evening. My name is Raymond Irvin. I live at 1802 G Marie Drive, which is in Carriage Point neighborhood off of Avalon Road. We as a community have been directly impacted by this new ordinance in that we, and when I say we, I speak for the HOA board, which I'm a member of, as well as a member of the community, in that we entered into agreement with Smart City Telecom to bring fiber optics into a neighborhood where we only have one option today. And that option is Spectrum. And it's not a bad option, but unfortunately it's still just one option. And we know as a country that competition is what drives, if you will, excellence for all of us. And we'd like to see excellence in our community. Since we are a gated community, it was really up to the HOA board to enter into this agreement and to move forward with this with Smart City. Unfortunately, what we've ran into is the inability for Smart City to get a permit in order to complete that. And we entered into this agreement back in June. Post entering into that agreement, we also entered into agreement with another provider in our neighborhood, which is Lake Apopka Gas, but gas service in our neighborhood, since we were Total Electric, we wanted to provide competition there as well. We signed that as a board about a month and a half after the Smart City agreement. That gas pipeline has been put in place and is already up and available for our residents, but we're still waiting on the ability to get this, if you will, fiber optics in our neighborhood and to give our residents that option for another way to serve their internet needs. So I ask that the commission please consider the impact, especially on, if you will, neighborhoods like us, where we are responsible for everything in that right of way ourselves already, since we're a gated community. We'd like to be exempt from something that prevents them from giving us that option and giving us that opportunity, or at least make it something where it's a more reasonable, if you will, situation for the provider, because this was something we hoped to have in place before Christmas, and needless to say, we're getting a lump cold this year, and we'd sure like to move forward and get this option back on the table for our neighborhood and for all of our neighbors.
Yeah, I think part of what prompted us to come forward with this ordinance tonight is as a result of what the community has been going through. I don't think the community is entirely responsible for all the infrastructure in there, and that's obviously why we haven't had much success in getting the permit approved up to this point. So if you own 100% of the infrastructure, 100% of the right of way, that wouldn't be a problem. Again, we have the responsibility.
So I guess I'm curious, I'm not sure what part of the infrastructure we as the HOA aren't responsible for.
You'd be right.
You have sewer, water, and reclaimed water that are the city maintained.
They're city maintained, but they're in our right of way.
There's agreements on the face of the plat that allow those to be installed there, and that's
We're
why
responsible for repairing those and keeping them in the street. It says that on our plat.
it's our sewer that we maintain, it's our water that we maintain, and our reclaimed water we can.
Could the company get an LC then? That would be,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
could not the company get an LC and move ahead with that? That's not very costly.
This ordinance would provide for that option.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
ordinance does provide for that option, that they could do a letter of credit.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so then this
And that
is-
does make it better. We appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, and that's our concern, is getting this moving, and we appreciate the consideration.
But if they have to wait for this ordinance before they can get the LC,
I understand.
Christmas
Unfortunately,
is-
well, we've been waiting a long time. We're
that's what I
patient people, but.
was rolling back to your Christmas.
Yeah, unfortunately, our Christmas is ruined, and we know that, but we'd like to get it as close to the New Year as we
In
can.
case you look for Valentine's Day.
My only option is to expect that we pay it to them.
I think we all understand the options that we have,
Yeah, okay.
and the need for the competition, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Commission. My name is Marty Rubin. I'm the CEO of Smart City. By way of introduction, we're a local telecommunications company. We're best known as the telecom of Walt Disney World, but we do serve thousands of businesses in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. From the library to the Orlando Magic to Orange County Convention Centers, we're very well known. We've also provided fiber optics in the city, in your city, for 19 years without incident. So we're a little surprised with this ordinance, because we're the only city in those counties that have a similar ordinance. Other cities require a cash bond, or having a bond, but don't require a cash escrow. For a company our size, this is an onerous responsibility, and I'll explain why. Because we put in a $100,000 worth of fiber optic. You're asking us to put about $250,000 worth of cash. And every time we do 100,000, we put about $250,000. The other part of it, in addition to the multiple projects, we also have existing facilities. And when the Department of Transportation requires us to move, our reading the ordinance is that you're going to require us to put at least $250,000 every time the city, the county, or FDOT requires us to move our facilities. We think that's unreasonable as well. When you add it up, we're talking about potentially millions of dollars in cash that we're going to deliver to the city, waiting 200 days. And given the size of our business, the amount of money, we think that's not reasonable. What other cities have done in Orange County and Seminole County that have similar concerns is that they just require insurance bond, which is basically a construction bond to go to the city of Orlando or other places. We think that's very reasonable. From our perspective, it's a less cost, and we don't have to take the cash out of the bank. Being a smaller company, we're a big disadvantage. We're not the same size of Spectrum. We don't have billions of dollars in cash, so we're at a big disadvantage. We're the second company coming in. They've had the advantage, along with Lumen and others, having built out, not having these requirements. We coming in to be the competitor to help have faster speeds and lower prices. We have to suffer with this burden. So what we're requesting is either accepting one $250,000 cash escrow for all the projects we're going to have, as opposed to each time doing it. And even your own math, you're asking for 10%, that's probably $2.5 million for the project, which we're not going to do at any one point in time. Or the second thing, just a request of a construction bond. So we think it's reasonable. There's lots of precedent with other cities throughout all the counties in the area. And you know our track record. We're the telecom Walt Disney World. And for 19 years, we've never had a single incident with our company serving businesses and some residents, but primarily businesses of the city. So I offer you, several solutions to the problem moving forward from here. But my basic premise from the HOA is that we want to be the competitor, and we need to have the competitive advantage. We're at a disadvantage because all our other competitors already built in and didn't have this bond requirement. So thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you.
Steve?
I would like to just follow up a little bit on that. Those other two contractors that are here, it's Gigapower and Metronet, they're putting thousands of feet. And Gigapower currently has 70 permits that we've issued to them. They put one $250,000 deposit with us. So we already accept that through an agreement.
And I think the revision of the ordinance does provide them to a one-time deposit for multiple projects throughout.
As well as that letter of credit that we talked about. So that would be a different animal.
To address the cash bond option without going into a huge amount, but the reality is it's an insurance policy. So in the event that one of these folks damage a utility, puncture a water line, the gravity sewer line, a portion of the road caves in, and they knock out traffic signals, and impact all that, that costs us real time to the city to fix it right now. In order to go after that cash bond, if it involves a lawsuit and it's a legal action, and therefore there is a significant amount of time to go after and potentially recover those funds. And I don't have any idea of what the likelihood of recovering that at 100% rate is, but we're here looking at our residents and our infrastructure. There's been multiple stories in multiple other jurisdictions where damages have been incurred by our residents, and they're left holding the bag for a significant amount of time. So one way to correct that is to have this cash bond or letter of credit, which provides us immediate access to fix any damage within the road.
So the $250,000 for multiple projects that he suggested is part of this?
It's part of our old ordinance. We allowed it under that one. We worked it out through agreements that were also signed into place that went through Dan's company, and we put those agreements in place for that.
So our issue is some of the words, and our attorneys have been talking with Dan, talking to Jeff, is it has holding periods which you can modify. So we're concerned about the words of holding period as being modifying 200 days, and it's not clear enough that it's multiple projects as opposed to modifying the holding period. So it's 200
days from the end of the project is what we've come to in those agreements. And so if it's multiple projects, it would be 200 days from the end of that last project, so that the money would be there for us to take from if needed. But obviously, what we've seen is everybody's fixing their stuff now. They get used to it, trust us, we've done plenty of repairs.
So the board is down. What we're saying is that we would have won $250,000 for all the projects we're doing. So it's the holding period is the words that we're debating at this point.
I'll say, Stan, I understand what you're saying, and you're wanting clarification about what Steve's telling you is the intent of that language. So we'll work between now and the second reading to clarify that.
Okay.
Everything you said, we'll look at that too, about the idea that if your relocation is forced by the city or the DOT, we'll look at that issue too, because I understand what you're saying. So if there's a utility, if there is a major road project, the utilities are coordinating everything together. And that's not where we've had the problem. It's where these utility companies are coming in and just doing their own project and everything. So I think that's something we look at.
We're all moving together, so we don't have really control over the time period.
And oftentimes they're exposed when those projects are complete.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. With that, we will close the public hearing. Any questions from the commission?
What are the ramifications if we didn't have this in place? Does it fall on our citizens, the financial burden?
Very well could. For that portion, we've had a number of incidents throughout the city. I mean, some of them that I just wrote, we had a sub or a utility provider that, and what we found is utility providers come in, plan work, they hire subs, and that work is subbed out to a sub. And then they go in and they put the infrastructure in place, and we had a situation where they knocked out the traffic signal routes. And when we went after them for reimbursement of the cost, there was nobody to go after us. It was about $40,000 damage claim, the damage that we had to incur. So if we fix it, we have to, address those issues. We've had situations down there near your house where a utility provider has punched two borings through a stormwater drain. And sometimes what happens is that damage doesn't show up until we've had a lot of rain, and then the next thing you know, have a portion of the road that opens up in a pothole, and so now we're in the process of going through and going to have to incur those costs.
And the contractor's gone.
And the contractor's gone, so.
Okay. Need a motion?
I will move to approve based on the city attorney working out language that's amicable for both parties. That's my motion. But the second reading, public hearing being held for
December 12th.
December 12th.
We have a motion for approval. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. This motion carried unanimously. Reading and public hearing, proposed ordinances, ordinance 24-37, 24-38, and 24-39.
Ordinance 24-37, an ordinance of the city of Winter, Florida, providing for the annexation of certain additional lands currently described as approximately 0.79 plus or minus acres located at 1302 East Flores Cross Road, north of Forestino Road, or Street, south of East Flores Cross Road, east of Malcolm Point Drive, and west of East Grand Point Road into Winter. Florida redefining the city boundaries to give the city jurisdiction over said property, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Ordinance 24-38, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending the future land use map of the Winter Garden Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of real property generally described as approximately 0.79 plus or minus acres located at 1302 East Flores Cross Road, north of Forestino Street, south of East Flores Cross Road, east of Malcolm Point Drive, and west of East Crown Point Road from Orange County low density residential to low density residential, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Ordinance 24-39, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, rezoning real property generally described as approximately 0.79 plus minus acres located at 1302 East Flores Cross Road, north of Forestino Street, south of East Flores Cross Road, east of Malcolm Point Drive, and west of East Crown Point Road from Orange County 81 Citrus Rural District to City R1 Single Family Residential District, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a request for annexation, future land use, and zoning for a .79 acre property located at 1302 East Fullers Cross Road. If approved, this property would be annexed into the city, assigned low-density residential future land use, and rezoned to R1 single-family residential district. After approval, the applicant intends to build a new single-family house on the property and hook up to city services. So with that, staff recommends approval and adoption of ordinances 24-37, 24-38, and 24-39.
Questions from the commission? This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. If we need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2437, 2438, and 2439.
Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 24-40.
Ordinance 24-48, ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending chapter 6 alcoholic beverages of the city of Winter Garden Code of Ordinances, amending section 6-1 of the city code defining restaurants and amending and clarifying section 6-2 of the code governing business establishment locations near a church or school, amending and clarifying section 6-4 of the city code governing hours of and sale and service of alcoholic beverages at establishments within the city, modifying the time periods that alcoholic beverages are authorized to be sold, served, and consumed, requiring restaurants to discontinue selling and serving alcoholic beverages when food service is not available via on-site food preparation facilities, amending and clarifying section 6-5 of the city code governing possession, consumption, or display of alcoholic beverages on public property or on premises of unlicensed commercial establishments, amending 6-7 of the city code governing package store separation requirements to create an exception for incidental package sales associated with a grocery store, and adding new section 6-9 to the city code to outline policies and procedures relating to a new extension of hours permit for alcoholic sales, providing for codifications of related conflicts and an effective date.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The city is requesting approval of ordinance 24-40 to amend the city code of ordinances chapter 6 on alcoholic beverages. We covered a lot of ground in the last meeting, so tonight I'm mostly going to give an overview of the changes that have been made since the last hearing was approved. So with that, once again, I want to start with just the major reasons why we're bringing this ordinance before you today and why we're proposing to change the code on this. It's to make the code more consistent with the city charter, make the code more consistent with state regulations, which have undergone a major overhaul recently, to be more responsive to the issues that we've heard from residents and other businesses with issues related to late night alcohol consumption, to provide clearer guidance on a host of issues that are related to alcohol sales and consumption throughout that code. And finally, the overarching reason is to encourage and maintain the city's quality of life, foster a family-friendly environment, while also supporting a thriving business community. And one point of clarification that I wanted to make at the beginning, because there seemed to be a little bit of confusion about this last time from some of the comments that we received from the public, is that this ordinance does not require all drinking establishments to close at midnight. They may apply for this extension of hours permit, which I'm going to go over a little later in this presentation, and they may continue serving until 2 a.m., which is the exact time that they're permitted to serve today. If they go through this process with this extension of hours permit, these businesses should not be significantly impacted by these new regulations. So just as a refresher, the motion of the last city commission meeting was to approve the staff's recommended changes and to clarify that calling the police to respond to an incident would not automatically constitute a strike against a particular establishment. Staff's recommended changes are listed there, and I will get into those in a bit since they were all incorporated into the new version. So now I'll just go over the major changes that we made since the first reading. Section by section. In section 6.1 definitions, no major changes, just a couple of minor text amendments for clarification and consistency. Section 6.4, which deals with hours of sale, we did clarify that the extension of hours permit only applies to on-premises drinking establishments, so package sale vendors would not be impacted by the new hours of sale. That was something that was a staff condition. It requires all on-premises drinking establishments to submit proof that at least one member of the staff working each shift has completed a responsible beverage service training program, which most venues already go through because of insurance requirements. It includes the option for restaurants to provide an affidavit in lieu of the point of sale receipts and percentages of alcohol and food sales. This was done in response to some concerns voiced by some of the establishments about privacy and having all of their financials out there in the public record for everyone to see, so we addressed that in this version. The major changes were to section 6.9, which deals with that extended hours of sale permit, extended hours of service permit. There were some minor text amendments for clarification and consistency throughout, but the major change was that we took a step back and rewrote the suspension of extension of hours permit section because of some concerns that we heard from folks about it being a little bit too vague, a little bit too broad. So what we did was we clarified that violations would include basically illegal activities, particularly those that are directly related to drinking and loitering and vandalism, as well as just violations of the city code. We did add that some complaints may be mitigated if the establishment has procured additional security or police protection, which is also outlined in that new section. We clarified that violations must be able to be traced back to a particular establishment. So if somebody goes bar hopping and causes trouble, there has to be a clear trace back to an establishment in order to constitute a violation against that establishment. And the burden of proof of proving that is on the city. So we have to have ample proof, ample evidence that it can be traced back to a specific establishment. It also gives law enforcement officers the discretion to issue warnings that would not constitute a violation against the establishment. So if the police show up, they're able to talk to folks, handle the situation there, they can just let them off with a warning. That would not constitute a violation and nothing moves forward. We also, for the suspension procedure, we added a 3 strikes policy, whereby the first official noted violation would just be a warning to the establishment, and nothing else would happen after that. Upon the second violation, we would meet with the establishment to work with them to create a mitigation plan that would potentially fix the issues that they've been dealing with. And if they do the mitigation plan, they fix the issues, again, no further action will be taken after that. Upon the third violation, the matter then will be heard in front of the city's code enforcement board or hearing officer to consider suspension, and it's up to the board to make that determination. Again, that whatever decision is made can be appealed to city commission as well, so there's ample due process. And if additional violations happen during suspension, or if an establishment is suspended twice within a 12-month permit period, the city may recommend revocation for the remainder of the permit period, or 6 months, whichever is greater. But again, establishments can always reapply at time of business tax receipt renewals. There is no such thing as a permanent revocation of this permit. Here is, I know it's a little bit small on the screen, but this is our new extension hours permit application that we have created. This permit application has been sent out to all the businesses that would be affected by these new regulations. So they've had a little bit of time to review it. And just wanted to make it clear that we're going to work with these businesses. We're going to give them ample time to be able to comply with these new regulations if this ordinance is adopted this evening. So with that staff recommendation, we feel that the process to draft this ordinance was fair and transparent. We've worked extensively with the establishments to hear their concerns and try and address them as best we can in this final version of the ordinance. It's not targeted towards any specific area of establishment. It's blanket citywide. We believe it takes a balanced approach to addressing some of these late night issues that we've been seeing. And again, there's any time that we're going to move forward towards suspension or revocation of the permit, it would basically have to be a pretty flagrant set of violations to lead to that point. We really are not interested in just shutting people down writ large. So, and there's many mitigatory steps that can be taken along the way to avoid revocation or suspension, and checks and balances along the way to make sure that the due process is carried out. And suspensions, again, I know I touched on this before, but they are not permanent and they can be reinstated or cured at the next application cycle. We think that this is going to encourage businesses to self-regulate, and it takes the onus off the taxpayer to subsidize these issues. And again, it ensures we have a process that we can ensure the city of Winter Garden remains charming, family-friendly, and also ensuring local businesses can survive and thrive. And because of these reasons, staff recommends approval and adoption of ordinance 24-40. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
What is the turnaround, the turn time for the application to be approved or denied?
So once we receive the application, we have a committee, an internal city committee made up of key city staff who would review the application and then determine whether or not it can be issued and if there's any conditions that are associated with the issuance. And we'll try to do that in a timely manner, probably within a couple weeks at the most.
So given that we're already in November and the holidays are a couple of weeks from now, what's the status for that for these businesses between now and, holidays?
So it's a busy time, I understand. If this gets approved tonight, what we'll do is we'll follow up with all the businesses individually. We'll give them a copy of the application. If they have any questions or concerns, we can help them fill it out. And once they start submitting it, we'll start processing it as soon as we possibly can.
I think our goal would be to certainly have everybody approved by January 1. Obviously, if it's approved tonight, we're not going to show up with code enforcement tomorrow and issue those violations. Through the process.
Any other question? Okay. This is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak.
Charles Roper, 1011 West Bay Street, Winter Garden. Once again, I'd like to commend staff for working with the businesses on this. This ordinance is drastically different than the very first version that we were presented back in August, I believe it was. We have gotten a long ways on it. Ileana, thank you for asking one of the questions, which is one of my primary concerns. The way this is written, it's codification and immediately effective. So I don't know how you're going to word that in there. I would rather have something saying that it's not going to be effective until January 1 for the sections regarding that, or until all the businesses have had the chance to apply and get through the application process and the appeals process of this for the late nights ordinance, because I don't know how you ignore the known law that you're getting ready to put on the books. That's just a technical question. And there's things in here that are regulated by DPR. We're still curious as to why the city is trying to regulate things that are already regulated by DPR here in the city. So that's the main portions of my comments. Like I said, it's been a productive process. It's been a very frustrating process. I wouldn't agree that it's been completely open and transparent. It has been difficult to get through this process, but we have gotten through it. So thank you to staff for working with us on this.
Anyone else?
This is my first time here at a town meeting. I've been a resident for, I want to say about 10 years now, so it's wonderful to be here. My name is Ben. I'm the owner of Lucky Strolls Boba over on West Colonial, and I speak for my company and my staff as well. As the previous speaker was speaking about, as far as the DPR and their regulation, it was very difficult getting our beer and wine license initially, but we worked with the city, and it was a good experience working with the city, understanding what the city is expecting and the type of culture to be developed with our company. We understand the city's reluctance and possibilities of what could happen, especially when alcohol is involved. And for the most part, my company, my staff, and our customers have developed a culture where we police ourselves exactly as the city has been wanting to, where we see less or no incidents of vandalism or hooliganry. So if there is an option for an extension of hours, why even have it as a thing in the first place? Because if we have the ability to stay open till 2, then it seems like another gatekeeping opportunity for the city, when there already is a gate, so to speak, with the initial application for the licenses. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Cindy Goodine. I live at 208 Trailbridge Court. I'm a mother, and I'm a little worried about this ordinance because I feel like it transfers an issue elsewhere. And what I mean by that is if these businesses that our residents are used to going to are now not able to go to after a certain time, are they gonna now go to like Claremont and then drive home drunk? Or go to Orlando and now drive home drunk?
Only if they stay open after 2 o'clock.
But we're just transferring an issue, is my
No, I
concern.
don't understand that, yes, because they're staying open until 2 o'clock, so are the other places.
There, Claremont is, yes.
So is it, so is here.
You're not saying that, you're
No,
saying
ma'am.
now things are gonna close at midnight.
No, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
If
What are
they,
you
if
saying
they,
then?
file- if they get a permit.
If they get a
stay-
permit.
That's simple. They'll stay open until 2 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
But some businesses may or may not get a permit.
That will be their choice. I can't.
So you're wanting to shut down everything in Winter Garden at midnight unless they get a permit.
Everything, most things
Well,
are.
yeah, I know, I'm never even out after midnight. And I'm wondering if any of y'all have ever been in downtown Winter Garden after midnight.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything rowdy. It's such a family-friendly place. I've never, like you say, it's a family-friendly place. I haven't
ahead.
seen anything rowdy. So I'm just curious, what was the rationale or the reason for this?
Okay.
Has that been public knowledge? Because I've
Yes,
tried to
ma'am,
search
she
for
talked
it.
about it during her presentation.
What was the reason?
She gave a whole list of reasons in the
To create a
presentation.
family-friendly environment, but I understand that there was originally complaints.
Yeah.
Were there complaints?
Yes, so, and I apologize, this isn't the full the presentation, but
Yeah, and I wasn't here at the first reading, I apologize.
We've, it's accumulation of things, it's based on, the volume of police reports that we did at that time, it's based on,
Are those public record?
Yes.
Okay.
It's based on, what we find kind of as the aftermath in the morning, our staff has to clean up all the dangerous and the junk from the night before, it's stuff that we caught on cameras in the parking garage, we have a mountain of evidence of activities happening.
But that's been given out so that people can see it.
Yes, public record.
It is public record and it's been given
To those who requested it.
to those who requested. The other concern I have, just real quick, is that City of Orlando instituted this. And I hate to compare because we're a totally different town. And I've lived in both towns. I've actually lived in Orlando and I've lived in Winter Garden now. But they have not had the greatest success with it either. So I wonder if y'all have looked or talked to the City of Orlando to see how it's worked and if they've had any issues with it that maybe we could benefit from and learn from. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Taryn Scarborough. I live at 457 Spanish Wells Court. I'm from Winter Garden. I've worked on Plant Street for 12 years at various businesses that all serve alcohol. But I've been privy to meetings. I wrote an article for the local W at Winter Garden, this host of stories, so I'm very familiar. I've had 75 plus people have conversations with me about this. I mean, we're going into huge numbers. The city has done a job of communicating with everyone. But my main point is, Charlie asked, if it goes into effect tonight, we're saying that all businesses through the holiday season up until potentially January 1st.
How about if we make it January the 1st?
We put it in order.
How about we change it and make it January 1st?
That's more acceptable, yes.
Okay. There.
That was my question,
Okay.
just as for businesses.
We agree. We weren't trying to shut anybody down, but
No, we just.
there's a good point y'all made.
Yeah.
If we make it January 1st, it gives everybody 45 days to do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll be brief. My name is Drew, 124 West Fulton Avenue. My main issue is just the subjectivity of some of these things. The city has worked very hard with us, and I really do appreciate it. But you had mentioned, Kelly, that like illegal activities would be things that happen on our property that could kind of affect us as like a strike or something that we would have to go in front of someone for, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the impetus is, there's something that establishment is doing to.
Oh, the establishment.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
So if you have if you have a bunch of, illegal activities happening in your establishment, and
Yeah.
the establishment is not taking care of that,
Sure.
that would potentially be a striking.
Okay, we work really hard. I own a whole lot. We work really hard to make sure that these things will happen, and they very rarely do. I just want to make sure that, things that happen from a guest that are fully out of our control, that, they're doing illegally, is not something that can be held against us.
Correct.
That's one of my big issues. And then they had mentioned with the off-duty officers, like if, whenever we are open past that time, we do. Voluntarily right now, we do have officers, but there are times where officers are, they get a call, they have to leave, or someone cancels, they get sick, it happens. Is that something that would be held against us if, for say a Saturday night, we were scheduled to have an officer, no one comes, something happens?
Yeah, that would be on us,
Okay.
with the staff.
Okay.
Because obviously if it's off-duty
Yeah.
officers, and they can't stop.
It doesn't happen often, and the officers are great, so, those were my main things, so I appreciate you guys and everything you do.
Okay. With that, we will close the public hearing. Any other comments from the city commission? Questions?
Appreciate the process, the staff's been very responsive, and the business owners have been forthcoming, and I think between the two, we've come to a good, understanding that all balance things and keep one of our youth safe and physically responsible as far as our officers.
I was talking to John about certain provisions of the ordinance may go into effect tonight without the issue. The issue is the hours of operation. So we could delay the certain sections of the ordinance until January 1 with regards to the hours and the after midnight permit. So those provisions are specifically in section 7 and section 4 of the ordinance. So we can modify section 11, the effective date of the ordinance, to say this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the city commission. It shall apply to all existing and future establishments of businesses except with regards to section 4 and section 7, which shall be effective January 1, 2025. That would focus on the hours of operation as a delay, and the rest would become effective.
It's important because we had the other business owner that came last time that said he really needs the other part of the ordinance to start, immediately. And it is everybody's time of year where they make a lot of money too, so it helps both sides.
So I assume that was starting your motion.
That was a motion.
That was a motion with Dan's comments.
Yes.
That's what I thought. So a motion approval with our attorney's comments. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion?
Just, I'm here, I wanted to, I went out after the last meeting and went to one establishment, now it's 10 o'clock on Thursday night, and I took a picture with a lady that was probably 80 years old at one of the establishments, so that's the weeknights, I haven't been there on the weekend, but I plan to do more discovery. but,
Oh, that's what he calls it, discovery.
okay, a little drinking too.
I should have thought that one out, Joe. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thanks, staff.
The city's been working with one of our engineering consultants for the last couple of years for drainage issues and to help solve those issues, which are in the basin, which partly is contained in Roper Drive, which is where it drains to Lake Apopka. This engineer, Mead and Hunt, has modeled multiple options and determined that the best solution to these drainage problems is for us to purchase the home at 141 Roper Drive and use this property for stormwater improvements in lieu of an approximate $3 million project. We have worked with that homeowner over time, and she has agreed to part ways with that house. And then we found the property at 391 Grove Court, which she agreed to swap with us on. So tonight we're here to ask the board to recommend approval for us to purchase that home at 391 Grove Court for $346,000. The cover memo has a $5,000 error on it. And approve up to $200,000 for the renovation of that home, which we will then swap. I have talked with contractors. I have I said 546, thank you. And then $200,000 for renovations. I do not have any anticipation of it costing $200,000. I just wanted to stipulate that money to make sure we had sufficient funding. Homes in that area are selling for around $750.
Steve, how many millions are we saving again?
The project has been assumed, this is all funded through stormwater,
Yeah.
because it's stormwater improvements. It's estimated to be about a $3 million project.
3.3 is the difference.
And we'll make minor improvements once the home's
Where's my
done,
approved,
to
Mayor?
put in.
Where's my motion?
Well, but yeah, and that's our only really options, or those two options.
This is the best option
Yeah.
to solve the issues that we have. Otherwise, we're going through other people's properties, trying to acquire easements, hoping that we actually solve the flooding by adding these pieces in and disconnecting. This is the option that gives us the best and most likely 100% solution.
Okay.
And savings.
And
Yes, it's safe. Questions from the commission?
So can we just stipulate the purchase up to 200,000 for renovations, not and?
Yes.
Was that a motion, Lisa?
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried unanimously. And thank you on that for that, Steve. Recommendation approved contract services for utility service company.
Everybody's well aware of our water tower downtown. We want to make sure we keep it in good shape and keep it forever. This is an agreement for the downtown historic tower to hire a utility services company to perform yearly inspections. The contract also includes on year one, they will put a blanket over it, and for 3 months, they will sandblast it, do all these repairs, repaint it, and put a new logo on it, consistent with what's there today. And like I said, yearly inspections to certify its conditions. And then in year 6, it gets power washed, and year 10, it also gets power washed and repainted again. Staff will recommend the board approve the agreement and authorize the city manager to sign this agreement for $98,986 per year.
I had to read it twice, I thought we said inspection, and then inspection and repairs, but I never did see the word repair in that 98,000 a year.
That's that original year where all those repairs are made, and then, yeah.
For 10 years.
I think they spread those repairs and that original cost over that 10 years.
Is it like the structural engineer that inspects it?
Yeah.
They write a report every year for us.
I know it's like.
All right.
Is there still really a desire to keep the water tower from many people? I mean, should we do a survey at some point?
We had this discussion.
Glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Hey.
200 and some $1,000 probably to take it down, which is obviously a lot cheaper than 10 years of this. But,
Yes.
It's like coming.
we still haven't got the one down in Palmetto. It needs to come down.
It needs to come down.
Yeah, I talked to Mike about that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, man, it's not a service.
No.
the
I mean, is
one downtown is just,
I know.
It's not in service.
Is there
Part of our
a push to
brand.
keep the tower? I mean, at this point, it's 250,000, take it down. I mean, tonight's not gonna make a big difference, but maybe in the future, we do a survey.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can ask that question, but I think, you know, from the staff's perspective, we've always just recognized the importance of it in our history and our identity.
and when it's lit at night, it is, you know, that part, when it's clean. Okay. We need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve, we have a second. We have a second, I'm sorry, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously, thank you, sir. Recommendation to approve funding for Axton Focus One video system. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We're in a 3-year period of a contract with the Fusus system, and just to remind you, that's the system where we take in all the video feeds into one system, so we can query. People can share video feeds from their home, from businesses, and all city feeds will go into this one system. It was acquired by Axon this year, so now year 2 becomes with the Axon Corporation. So this request is basically to continue the contracted service for Fusus. And it's $80,000 per year, and again, this is year 2. We are requesting that you approve the payment amount of $80,000 for this fiscal year. This was included in the budget.
Questions? Change the company, bill the contract.
Chief.
Motion.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a motion, a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Recommendation to approve contract with Heart of Florida United Way. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Staff is requesting to work and partner with United Way to offer a program called the Utility Assistance Program to provide assistance to Winter Garden utility customers experiencing a financial hardship. United Way is partnering with other local municipalities. It's a good program that the city of Winter Garden would like to offer our residents, and staff is recommending approval.
Okay. Questions? Motion.
Move to approve.
Do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Recommendation to approve binding lot agreement for 186 North Street. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to combine the 2 lots located at 186 North Street. The lot combination is being requested, so a single-family home can be built on the property. Staff recommends approval of the binding lot combination for 186 North Street.
Questions from the commission? We need a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Binding lot agreement for 210 and 214 South Dillon.
The applicant is requesting to combine 2 lots located at 210 and 214 South Dillon Street. The lot combination is being requested so the applicant can develop a mixed-use building on the site. As you recall, this property was rezoned to PCD this evening per the approval of ordinance 24-41. So with that, staff recommends approval of the binding lot combination for 210 and 214 North Dillon Street.
Questions from the commission? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Site plan for 603 Hennis Road.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to build 3 office warehouse buildings on the 14-acre property located at 603 Hennis Road. The project includes associated parking, landscaping, and stormwater improvements. The property is designated industrial in the city's future land use map and is zoned I2 general industrial. Staff recommends approval of the site plan subject to staff conditions. Staff may have any questions.
Questions from the commission? I know it's industrial there, but it's right on Hennis Road, neighborhoods across the street and right down the street. And I struggle looking at, you know, the drawings and stuff, but just make sure it looks good. Because it looks like, to me, I can see driving through Detroit and seeing the big industrial building up there. So just make sure it looks good for all of our neighbors. And I know you will. Any other questions, comments? We need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Site plan for 16290 Marsh Road.
Thank you. The city is requesting approval to build a new 10,000 square foot fire station on the building to better serve the residents in the southern portion of the city. The project includes associated site elements such as a parking area, sidewalks, flagpole plaza, and landscaping. The site will include a retaining wall along the majority of the perimeter to bring the property up to grade without impacting the adjacent wetlands. The property is designated institutional on the city's future land use map and is zoned C2 arterial commercial. With that, staff recommends approval of the fire station site plan.
Any questions from the commission? We need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Recommendation to approve waiving formal procurement process. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Today I am seeking approval to waive the formal procurement process and award a contract for the installation of Vigilance security cameras and the associated software to Iron Mode Technologies and Security Platform totaling $199,356. This recommendation is based on several factors, but foremost, Motorola's Vigilance platform has several cutting-edge features, including AI-powered analytics that will significantly improve our security monitoring capabilities throughout the city. And with that, staff would recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission?
Now that you mention it, what are some of those AI capabilities that will save us staff time?
Yeah, so there's a lot of advancement in the field. So right now we have kind of a static security system where we have to scroll through video across multiple sites to be able to identify a problem. One of the capabilities that we can use is we can actually type in a description of what we want and select areas within the field of view, and it'll show us exactly what we need across all cameras without having to actually having to search each and every one of those.
That's pretty cool.
And then I think, speak for you, David, but to add to that, during major special events, we can almost spin up real time. Not a crime center, but a monitoring center, so we can have a second set of eyes monitoring through video feed.
So in other words, it could, hey, there's an incident, might need medical help or something like that?
Very good. Very well done.
Okay.
It very well could do that. There's also people counting capabilities and some other initiatives that the city's looking forward to, that this will be able to handle as well.
We need a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Second. And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You may continue on, sir.
Thank you. This request is to approve proceeding with the renewal of CrowdStrike Falcon Complete, along with adding security information and event management SIEM software and services totaling $77,357.76. This purchase is accounted for and included in this fiscal year's budget. Approval would not only allow us to continue to reap the benefits of CrowdStrike's best-in-class managed detection and response services, but adding next-gen SIEM will provide us with the ability to collect, analyze, and respond to information security events across the city's network, both on-site and on cloud platforms. This will enhance our ability to monitor and mitigate potential risks and proactively safeguard the city's data and information systems. With that, I would recommend approval and be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission? Need a motion?
Move to approve the 75-57.6.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Recommendation to approve purchase order with Martin Smith. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. Wharton Smith team, our CMAR team for the wastewater treatment facility, evaluated numerous bid submittals for multiple construction categories to calculate the final cost of the project. A tabulation of the bids for each discipline are included or referenced in the attached backup documentation. The final cost for the work, materials, and equipment, and management of the project is based on the 90% plans that we received from our design team, and that was on October 2nd, 2024. Staff would recommend approving a purchase order to Wordsmith Inc. for GMP2 for completion of the wastewater treatment facility project in the amount of $127,530,155 for a total project cost of $132,637,770, which includes the 5.1 that we asked for in GMP1 in February of 2024. That I would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for the commission? I started putting up with the between the insurance, the bond, the fees, and then we find it back to the equipment. Yes.
Yeah, but it's the only one we've got, so.
Yep.
And we've waited apparently a very long time, so.
Well, with all the new regulations, we were for that. Yeah. And the work, the money's coming from the state. Okay. Any questions? We need a motion.
Move to approve the project for a total cost of $132,637,770.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Recommendation to award purchase order to T.D. Thompson. Yes, sir.
The current configuration of the water main on Tillmanville School Road has a gap between the packing house and the Oakland Park Phase 3. The work would connect the existing 8-inch main to loop the system and provide redundancy. Additionally, the connection would allow for 3 new customers to be connected to the city's infrastructure. This approval will also allow the contractor to install new sanitary stub-outs for the new homes being built on 958 and 1020 Tillmanville School Road. Staff would recommend awarding the construction and utility infrastructure to T.D. Thompson Construction Company in the amount of $53,868, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. We are going to, these are all annual events, so we're going to do O, P, Q, R, and S, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Nobody's going to turn down light up when they're during the Christmas parade, so go ahead.
Are we on order? Okay, this one. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The Small Business Saturday event is promoted nationwide to encourage shopping at local mom and pop establishments, or downtown merchants will have products for sale on the sidewalk to inspire holiday purchases. An event will also feature live entertainment with music acts at our Centennial Plaza, one being American Drones from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the other, the Jimmy Young Trio from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. With that, staff recommends approval for this special event application granting the Small Business Saturday event to take place in our downtown on Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Happy to answer any questions.
You may just keep right on going, sir. We're going to do them all as one package.
Okay, absolutely.
I was gonna say,
Well,
you okay, Kelly Young?
I have
Oh, yeah.
And when Kelly come up and, do her, we're just going to do them all as one package.
Yeah.
All of our special events.
For a team.
The city is requesting approval of our annual slate of holiday events, including Light Up Our Garden, the annual Christmas parade, holiday market, and the golf cart parade, and we would recommend approval of those holiday events.
I'm impressed. Any questions on any of the events from our commission?
I'm ready to make the motion, Mayor.
Are you going to make a motion to approve them all?
Recommend to approve item O, special event for Small Business Saturday. Item P, special event to approve Light Up Winter Garden. Item Q, special event annual Christmas parade. Item R, special event holiday market. Item S, special event West Orange Junior Service League.
Golf cart parade. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you all. Matters from citizens of Winter Garden. City Attorney.
No report.
Okay. City Manager.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief, Mayor, considering the long agenda late night. As you know, the theater announced closure back in October, late September, October. Since that time, we've been working with the operator to fulfill some of their outstanding obligations. As we transition into Christmas season, one of the things that we as a staff have been focused on is trying to program the theater through the holidays. And so I'm pleased to announce that we are going to be offering a holiday opera, Samir Salame Haywa, on December 14th and 21st. Shows are going to run an hour long from 7 to 8. It is going to be a ticketed event, and tickets do go on sale tomorrow. So we're very excited to have the opera, and it's all going to be holiday themed and Christmas themed. She's going to be accompanied by a pianist. In addition to that, we're going to include some movies at various times throughout the month of December, and then we will certainly look at long-term plans and what that looks like for the city.
So I wanted to comment, Mayor, so this opportunity came when the opera singer's husband, who happened to be my college professor, came and invited John and I to lunch. And I thought he was going to ask for something, but he offered his wife to do this. And it happened to be a great timing with what's going on with the theater being down. This couldn't work out better.
Yeah, and certainly I provided a flyer on the place for everybody. And you just approved many of the events, but the next, for the balance of the month of November and certainly December, we've got a lot of fun, festive events. And I sent you a list of this earlier just to spare you from having me read it. And other than that, I just want to take the opportunity to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving and look forward to seeing you all in December. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Shaw?
I got my 2 cents in, so I'm done.
Again, thanks staff for all your hard work, and I want to wish all of you guys a happy holidays and enjoy your family. That's it.
Commissioner Jones?
Thank you so much for all the work you guys do, and have an amazing, blessed Thanksgiving, and this thanks for everything that we have had this year. It's been an amazing year. Thank you.
Commissioner Bennett?
Echo that, appreciate all the hard work. We've had a lot of tough ordinances, and we've had bargaining agreements, and we've had recycling, and it's been tough, but we really appreciate, all the work you do. And to Laura and staff too, for all the extra holiday work that's coming up. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
I just did of that. It made it look easy here tonight in a sense, but it's because of all the hard work of our staff on everything. There's a lot on this agenda tonight, and y'all did an excellent job and make our life so much easier because of the great job that y'all do. And it's very much appreciated, and I hope everybody has a very happy Thanksgiving.